Hey everyone, it's Sara Oblak Speicher here, and what an exciting day it is today. We get to celebrate one of the firsts at noon Eastern Time. A first woman vice president will be sworn into the office, a first black woman, and a first South Asian American. What an amazing day. And I want to talk to you about firsts, and I want to talk to you about from personal experiences. There are a couple of things, a couple of characteristics that I have learned to lean on and develop like a muscle memory almost, that have helped me on my own journey of my own firsts. And when I'm working with my clients that are trailblazers, in many ways they are firsts in their world, in what they are doing, in creating their own path to this big vision they're holding, and those 10 characteristics definitely play a great role in make the difference between those who are succeeding and those who are making the difference and the ones who don't, even if they have all the best intentions. Now, before I continue, I want to disclose that yes, I would love more than anything to be able to give you 10 simple steps or 3-part formula, or even say that those are the only things that you need, those 10 characteristics, but it's not that easy. It is simple, but it's not that easy. So what I'm going to share with you today, like I said, has been my personal experience and from all the observations and based on my own expertise. And there's more to this equation. But if you are finding yourself pulled way beyond your comfort zone, when you have this big vision of yours that you know you are called and it is your mission to see it through, even when you don't know how, even when you don't know where and when, even all those questions are coming up, including, am I good enough? Why me? How can I possibly make this happen? What are others going to think about it? Am I being too much? Am I, whatever it is, right? Hopefully you find something in this video that can support you, that can empower you, that can put on the right path, maybe fill in some of the blanks, or maybe it's a permission slip, even though I don't think you need it at this point. If you are in my circles, then you probably do not need a permission slip. So as I mentioned, vision is certainly one of those tools. And vision, I would say it's an interesting thing, right? It is abstract. It is intangible. And oftentimes when I look around, I think we are trained to kind of blur it. We might be born mavericks. We might be born those visionaries. But we were told to kind of compartmentalize ourselves down, to tone ourselves down, and therefore shrink that vision of ours. But what I have learned, even with working on myself and as well as with my clients, when those audacious goals don't happen and the initial instinct is to just shrink them down and shrink down this vision, expand it. Go beyond it, and therefore expand it and create a capacity to make it happen. And the capacity is the second part, and we're gonna get to it in just a little bit. But vision definitely is almost like this Northern Star, your sense of direction, where is that you're going. Perspective is the second and equally as important piece. And perspective, again, it can mean so many different things to so many people, and it can play many different roles, and it can literally change in a moment. We can talk about perspective in terms of having a vision and all of a sudden experiencing something that allows you to change it and see things from a different angle. Maybe as you're growing and evolving, maybe you're able to elevate yourself and you see things from, a higher grounds, and again, it expands. Maybe it's a perspective of experiencing something and puts you, and allows you to see things from a different lens. Maybe as you are growing and evolving and experiencing things and distorting your own stories and breaking those patterns and old commitments, maybe the lens becomes clearer. So once when you used to see through a lens let's say, pink color glasses, now all of a sudden it's clear. So like I said, there's so many different things in perspective. I know for myself, one of the great things that I've experienced also in moving from a small medieval town of 20,000 in Slovenia to New York City, that in itself was a whole different perspective, because physically I could not experience things over there where everybody knows you, everybody knows your name, everybody knows your background, everybody knows your story, and the living is very different than in this magnificent, huge New York City where you're just one of the millions who are living there. So sometimes perspective, it's not necessarily happening simply by working on ourselves. Sometimes it literally requires you to change a physical location. And it's not just a change of perspective intentionally. Sometimes physical location will be required in order to create the environment that supports you, in which you can then bring your vision to fruition. So support, speaking of support, that will be the third characteristic. We cannot do it alone. One of the people that, I forgot who said it, but somebody, I remember saying it really clearly, there are not 7 billion people on this planet. There wouldn't be 7 billion people on this planet if we were meant to do it on our own. Therefore, we need a support. What I have learned, however, is that oftentimes people who are closest to us, those who knew us all the way back when, those who are intimately connected to us, might not be the best support when you are an early adapter, when you are a trailblazer, when you are so-called daredevil, because they want to keep you safe. They want to keep you comfortable. They worry about you. Not to mention, if it's not their own destiny, if it's not their own destination, if it's not their own mission, they can't possibly understand this drive that you have within you. So oftentimes it's crucial to surround ourselves, to elevate ourselves into circles of people who have been there, have done it, who have taken the risks, who have lost everything that's possible to lose, who have walked away from everything that they ever wanted, who came back after injuries, after being hurt, after being heartbroken, right? Who have built the muscle, who have built the resilience, who have built the stamina, and they have the capacity and have the strength and they have the depth of understanding. And they will challenge you. They will not coddle you. Yes, they will extend their arm and pull you up, and they will hold a space for you, but they will also hold you to a higher standard. They will hold you to a more expansive energy. They will elevate their own expectations, and they will help you shift your own perspective. See where I'm going with this? Oftentimes that does mean that you surround yourself by mentors, coaches, consultants, and yes, doing so more likely than not will require you to commit to yourself on a whole new level. And I'm not just talking about commitment of time and commitment of energy. I'm talking about commitment of all that no longer belongs. I'm talking about committing to releasing and leaving behind your old being, your old way of thinking, your old way of living. Sometimes some relationships also that come to a completion in the process, and especially commitment of resources, commitment of money. That in this world is simply an exchange of energy, right? You are committing at a particular level, which is measured by a monetary exchange. So the more that you want to expand, the more audacious your goals, the more crucial this support will be for you. Equally important to the support is also our boundaries, right? We were talking about inability to really lean onto the ones who are closest to us because they are simply not walking on our journey. They are not seeing what we see. They don't know what we know. And in order for us to protect the energy required to move through that, to hold this vision, in order for us to maintain the space that we need as we are growing into the version of ourselves who sees this through, and then some, because there's always and, in order to protect our integrity, boundaries are a requirement. As a woman, I know personally and deeply how setting the boundaries can be really difficult. And on numerous occasions, I found myself wanting to apologize for saying no, or for being too direct in my asking, or being too firm in my stances. And I felt, oh, I should probably soften. I can't, you know, which is a whole different conversation for a whole other time. However, boundaries are the key. And sometimes as you are going through this journey and you are fully immersed in it, you're gonna feel in your heart that boundaries that you used to set and expectations, sometimes they need to be renegotiated, sometimes they need to be reset and repositioned, redefined, redesigned, and that is okay. And that goes for physical boundaries, emotional boundaries, spiritual boundaries, as well as boundaries in day-to-day conversations, relationships. For example, I had to learn to say no to certain conversations with certain people, not because I wouldn't want to talk about it, but because the energy behind it and intentions behind it were draining, they were heavy. They did not serve and support me in reprogramming myself, in recalibrating myself to the next level. They literally kept pulling me back. And speaking of boundaries also, some people, they come to our lives with a very particular purpose for a very particular period of time, and then our relationships either transform or they come to a completion, and that is okay. And with that, as we are establishing the boundaries and as we are building our support system, it is okay to release and let go of certain relationships or certain forms of certain relationships. It simply means that our paths are splitting, and that is okay. And in doing so, it does require the next characteristic, which is resilience. And again, just like the perspective, resilience can also mean so many things for so many people. For me personally, it goes hand in hand with endurance, because resilience and endurance have been crucial not only in my life as an athlete. How do you come back after losing a streak of games? How do you come back the next day to practice full speed after you just lost a championship game? How do you come back after you just sprained your ankle for the 12th time and you tape it and you come back? And how do you keep on going? How do you keep on going? How do you hold this vision that you're gonna play a championship game, and you give yourself 4 years, and yet you drop into every particular moment, every single day you show up in practice and you give it all, and you're years removed from this particular goal that you have, and yet you're taking it one step at a time, even when things don't go your way, even when life happens, even when tragedy strikes, even when you have a very bad day, or even when people tell you you can't, or who do you think you are, or you're too small, or you're too big, you're either too much or too not enough, whatever it is, right? How do you do that? Resilience and endurance. Endurance is like it's like a muscle, and the more you practice it, the easier it gets. It becomes a muscle memory. And one of the reasons why I love analogy of sports is because it literally takes you through all the layers. It goes from the cellular level, when you are building this muscle memory through movement and memory of on the cellular level, and it goes it taps into the mental game. Again, resilience. How do you keep showing up? How do you reprogram your mindset? How do you overcome the adversity and really tap into this confidence? How do you develop this confidence? It also taps into the spiritual world, because while you can have everything physically, there still is something much greater than you that you are going towards, that you're doing this for. Not to mention, when you're running down the court and the timer is counting down and there's a few seconds left and you take the final jump shot, there's no time for doubt. There's no time for, being soft and nicely hoping that things happen. You have this conviction and you're direct and you trust, you feel it. There's no other scenarios that I am going to score. And in case I miss, well, then I'll deal with it later. But in every single moment, you have this enormous amount of faith because this is the muscle that you have built. And it's not just the sports arena. It goes for life. It goes for business. Same goes for parenting. Parenting is a whole different conversation too that piggybacks on it. And one of the things I love about parenting and being a mom is that just as much as kids have softened me, they have also sharpened my own edges. And it is, again, a game of fate when every single moment you can only do the very best to the level that you know is your best. And when you know better, you do better. However, we won't know until 30 years from now if we did it right or wrong, right? So that's a whole other game to tackle. Okay, so we talked about perspective, we talked about vision, we talked about boundaries, we talked about resilience, we talked about endurance, audacity. Let's not forget the audacity, because how dare you, right, to walk the path that has not been walked yet, or to deviate from the standards, to make a sharp right turn when everybody's expectation is going, it's a straight line of all the check marks that you have yet to mark off, and you dare to change it. You dare to change no to a system. You dare to challenge the system. You dare to challenge the stories. You dare to challenge all the patterns, the beautiful programs that have been passed down onto us. Yeah, how dare you, right? Audacity. We have the audacity not only to do it, but again, to have this conviction and curiosity to give it a try regardless, and knowing that, hey, I might fail, and chances are I will fail. And you know what? I'm going to do it again. And I'm going to try it again and again and again and again. And I'm going to be okay. And I don't know what I'm building, but I know I'm building something. I don't know what the equation is, and I will figure it out. And that's the beautiful thing about equations, and those of us who identify ourselves with being Aquarian leaders, those of us who know we are high achievers, those of us who know that we play in the both worlds, very practical, pragmatic, strategic, tactical, both feet on the ground, as well as the spiritual world, the world that is limitless, that is beyond anything that anybody can possibly think as possible. And we are playing in different realms. Yeah. Having this ability to combine the two, it transcends any blueprints, any formulas, anything that has been created before, any rules of reasons, especially moving forward, now entering the new era. Things that we are about to create have not been created before physically. We envisioned them, many of us, for years, for decades, in 4D, 5D, higher up. Now we're just bringing it into reality. So we have the audacity to challenge what is and what was in order to create what it ought to be. And we dare and have the audacity to move all the templates aside and imagine, define, create our own. Because we know that as we are walking this path, as we are blazing the trail, as we are the early adopters, we set the standards for masses to follow in a couple of years, maybe a couple of decades. And that requires enormous amount of faith. It requires enormous amount of capacity, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, you name it, capacity. Last but not least, after all is said and done, I think this is one of the most important characteristics, abilities, tools in our toolbox: detachment. Because no matter what we are striving towards, no matter what we are building and working towards, we also have to know and be able to simply detach, release the expectations, let go, and simply be able to change a course when needed without feeling the strings and the pulls and all the hooks and attachments, right? Simply wiping the slate clear and starting over, starting again, doing our best without expecting the outcome to happen in any particular way. And that's another thing that I have learned. And it's funny because in many ways, I would know it intellectually. And yet when it happened, it was like a Christmas morning all over again. I was like, oh yeah, that's right. That's how it works. But how often, and you possibly can relate to this and you have experienced it too. You know, when you set out to create something and you can strategize it, you can put it all on a paper, you can map out the whole course, you can take action, and you show up every single day committed to it. And it feels like, yeah, you're getting somewhere, but not quite in a way that you want it to. Or by the time on a paper you get there, your vision is already light years ahead, right? And it's not until you change your perspective, it's not until you dare to turn around and see things from a different angle that you realize that, oh my gosh, here it is. It's done. And because you're paying attention to details now, you realize that oftentimes it happened and you did not even notice because you were so busy and so committed and so focused on so many other elements and so many other aspects and attached to the particular way how it is going to happen that you completely dismissed it from already happening. I know I've been there. And I know my clients have been there, and I have caught my kids, and we had beautiful conversations around it as well. So detachment. All right, so that brings me to a full circle, right? With capacity and faith and detachment and endurance and resilience and boundaries and audacity and vision and support and perspective. The whole 9 yards. Like I said, I don't know you personally, therefore I don't know where exactly you are on your journey. I don't know what your vision is, and I cannot dare to say I know what you need and require and desire. But I do trust that whatever I was channeling and whatever came through in this message, in some way it is exactly what you needed in a way that you needed it, whether it's a change of perspective, no pun intended here. Maybe it was a confirmation, maybe it was a kick in the behind, maybe it lit up a fire underneath you, maybe it expanded your own field of vision and possibilities, maybe it filled in a couple of blanks, maybe it was a permission slip after all. Regardless, I do hope that you use it. And I do hope also that if you know of somebody else who could really benefit from this video, to simply share it with them. If you have any questions, you know where to find me. Reach out, and if this is something that you really want to dive into and you know you're ready for more, you might have also been at the top of your game and yet you feel like, there's something missing out there, you require something different, or anything in between, why don't we have a conversation? Let's see where you are, where you're going. I'm going to tap into, with my own powers, into your field, and we're going to see where you actually ought to be, because those two are oftentimes different on a very different levels. And then we'll figure it out how that gets to look like. You know where to find me if this speaks to you, and I'll see you there. Sending you much love and light, and I'll talk to you soon.